Hi, in this video, I explain what some things that students or parents of A-level students, when doing, especially students doing maths, they should know about that will help them do very well in the A-levels or be emotionally prepared for everything happening in the A-levels. So this is what is happening, right? In the phase one, when the school first started in junior college one, right, the students are going through a phase of where they consolidate their secondary school learning, some bridging, like basic trigonometry, things that they have learned in the secondary school. There are some revision, but not much of that. So the students are expected to have quite good fundamentals in AMATs. So if they don't have that, it's important that before they even start GC, right, they have to go and do the O-level AMATs until they are very familiar with all the concepts in it. Because a lot of concepts, right, would be reused in the A-level. They come out in some random questions, right? That has nothing to do with that concept, but they'll use that part of the concept in that question. And then they'll, once the JC, after the orientation, all these distractions, CCAs, all these settled, right? There's some parts of it, and then project work is started. There's a lot of, and then there are 4 subjects, and then every subject is learning new things, right? They start to climb, right? That means every week or every 2 weeks, they are learning a new topic. So this is the part where it's very steep. There's a lot of distractions, and there's also very steep. Most of the students are not learning much in terms of especially perhaps if someone can learn very, very fast, right? Then he will feel that there's no stress during this period. Or if not, yeah, if someone is very serious, but it's also still not learning very fast, right? He will feel a lot of stress during this period. And there are some students who get so demoralized that they give up, or they feel that it's impossible. What they need to do, right, is to just continue on even despite of constantly failing in their test, or despite that they are not have knowing something 100%, not because of the pace, right, it's not possible to learn something 100%. There will be gaps of knowledge here and there. And then and furthermore, when every time there's a test, right, the teacher will not give you a simple question that test a basic knowledge. So for example, we know the basic knowledge may be domain of F equals to range of F inverse, something like that. But then they are not going to test it as it is. They are going to repackage the question such that it's more like an IQ question. It's like more like 猜灯谜, the guessing those kind of questions, right, that relies on more like IQ rather than just a factual regurgitation. That means, right, you not knowing the concept will not be enough. You still need to guess. You still need to have a very intelligent look at the question. So I can show you such questions if you have time, but just to give the high level idea first. So then as we progress, right, we're learning new topics, and at the same time having such very difficult tests. Unless you're very strong with your fundamentals, and also your mind can twist. That means your mind can is very flexible. You are very familiar, yet at the same time you can think very intelligently. Then you can do well in such tests. If not, actually, if the students are if they feel never mind for this kind of test, they should be happy that they look at the questions after they get back their test results. They should look at the questions, see where they went wrong, learn something new, and also do the correction, know what are the concepts tested, and then just move on. Don't be too demoralized by the results. So, and then after the test, right, at the same time, right, new topics will be taught. So it's like climbing, as you are still trying to understand fully the previous topic, and as a result, still for the previous topic is still not good. You are being taught new topics. So the climbs continue, right? So as the students try very hard to master the new topics, right, they slowly forget what they learned in the first phase. And not just for one subject, there are 4 subjects in testing the students in such manner, right? So unless the student is very full-time on studies, that means every time he come back home, then keep doing questions and keep learning. If you find that the students still have time to do a lot of other things, like spend a lot of time on CCA, still have time to watch TV or kind of stuff, right, you'll find that the stress will add up because they are the basically this system, right, is almost they squeeze the students' time to the fullest. There shouldn't be any additional time. If you have additional time, either you are super smart or that you're actually taking things too lightly, right? So then the things will accumulate, right? So by the time the next test, most likely, a lot of students will still fail. That's what I see in a lot of junior college students. They will come and tell me that, well, most of the class fail, and that's natural because there are 4 subjects. There's so many things to do, but then plus project work, because project work is in year 1 and they have to do with other students. If they do the project work with students who are not efficient, some of the students, right, they take it on themselves to do most part of the work, and the teamwork part is neglected, and so there's no time management, because if in your group there's some people who like to joke or what do like they're not so serious, or then they can drag the time required to complete the project work, and that will is again a test to the students. It's not a fair game, as in when it comes to project work, you have a team, and the team, not every team is the same. It's a teamwork now, it's not individual, so you will also take out a lot of people's students' time and attention. So at this point in time, I will advise my students, right, to budget their time for project work, but that is already the first year. So if you're already in the second year, you don't need to worry about that, because the project work is completed in the first year. So to budget the time and make sure that you tell your teammates that in the beginning, this is you are going to leave at this time, and you need to set out the agenda that these are the things that we need to sort out during this session. If you are very organized, you help your team be organized. And yeah, so then after that, right, on top of all this, the students is continue trying to climb and learn new topics for all the 4 subjects, and they might forget some of the things in the first the first semester, and that's why they need to regularly revise. And an important thing is, when you are introduced to a topic, right, when you introduce a topic, it's very important for you to memorize everything in the topic intensively. It's not enough just to read through. Reading through is not enough. So for example, some of the formulas like AP formulas like Sn equals to ARn minus 1 over R minus 1. This one you must memorize by heart and make it into a long-term memory. That means today you need to read. Tomorrow you need to recall from the mind, not by reading, but recall from the mind to see if you write it down, and then check with the formulas in the book to see that if you still remember. And then 3-4 days later, you need to recall from your brain again and see that if it's still correct. If you do it this regularly for a week or 2, and then you can always recall from your mind at ease, right? Then you memorize the formula. And it's important to do it within the week in which the formula is taught. If you think that, no, memorize later. A lot of students take this strategy. They think that, oh, I'll memorize the day before the exam itself. That doesn't work, because, right, they will realize that it will affect a lot of things. It will affect their confidence when they practice. So whenever they practice, right, a question, right, they didn't recall it from their brain. So they refer to a note. So even if they're able to do this question, right, it's with reference. So they never build the confidence that they can do it without reference. And also it slows them down, because every time they want to do a question, they need to go back and find the formula. A lot of students are also disorganized. They keep their things, formula sheets everywhere. And so every time they waste time looking for the formula sheet. And if they don't find the formula sheet, sometimes they don't complete the question, they skip the question. All this is going to make the learning very difficult. I highly recommend that students memorize the formulas and also understand the formulas. But nowadays, a lot of students, they take formulas, they memorize formulas without understanding the proof, because the school also skip the proof and also don't teach the proof. So every time I teach students, I also teach the proof and make sure that they understand and memorize it. Because if they don't memorize it, they keep doing that, keep it to before the exam, they are going to have a hard time. There will be very many inefficiencies. And at the time when before the exam, right, there's so many formulas, right, that it is impossible for them to recall it on the same day or same 2 days. Especially the exams are packed, like maybe 2 on the same day, or in a few days they'll complete 4 subjects. So can you tax your memory so much within 4 days? And it will result in the mind being very drained. It's so much energy is used to memorize things that they don't have enough energy to think about things, and they don't have enough calm to think about things. So during the exam, if you're trying to recall, oh, what is that formula? So you will struggle, and that's a waste of time. If you have memorized something very well, right, you should recall the formula like I did. I didn't refer to anything, and I'm able to write it out on the spot without thinking. That is the speed that you should have in terms of being able to recall something. And some of the students, they have a weak fundamental. So for example, if 3 minus x to the power of 4, if I power half, if they want to factorize 3 to the power half, this is actually a secondary school concept. But this basic algebra, a lot of students have forgotten how to do such things. And they will be confused when the question requires such things, or the triangle formula for the cosine rule, all this. This has been a long time since they last touched them. After the O-level, probably they didn't touch it anymore. And as we learn new topics, we don't use it. But suddenly in the test, it will come out a question where they are required to use this formula. So a lot of students are taken aback. And that's why their tests are also not good. So there's only one type of students, right, who can really do well in all the tests and exams. That means during their O-level, during their secondary school, they are already applying the methods that I told them. They are already doing the fundamentals the way I explained. That means they have memorized every formula and do regular recall, and then struggle in the question or when they do questions. So their impression of all these methods, right, is not on the surface. There are some students that they serve past O-level, they get an A or B. Doesn't mean that they are good, because they do the last minute memorization, and then they do last minute practice. So their fundamental at the O-level, right, at secondary school is very shaky. It's so shaky that it doesn't support them when it comes to a higher level. They may do well at O-level because O-level is still manageable. But when it comes to higher level, their fundamentals will affect their ability to perform, and then they will constantly struggle in A-level. But but this struggle is necessary. They should keep on struggling because their fundamental at O-level is not good. That they should keep on struggling until this point in time. I will explain when it comes to like what is this point in time. So at the first half of the year, at the June holidays, right, they will have some reprieve. That means they have a breather. They can take that time to prepare for the test. It's meant to help them consolidate all this. But a lot of students, when they started revision, right, they will find it very stressful, because they will realize that they have forgotten a lot of things that are taught in the beginning. And if they are still distracted, some of the students, they'll see it so difficult that they give up at this stage, right? Actually, what they should do is that despite being so difficult, every question that they look at from the common test that the teacher gives them is so difficult that they do not know how to start. What they should do, right, is that they should struggle through. They should continue to learn and trying to do every question, despite it takes them like half an hour, 1 hour. They'll think that, oh, there's not enough time. If every question takes me 1 hour, how can I have so much time to complete my revision? So they give up. But they should either engage a teacher who can help them speed up and accelerate the learning, or they should just continue to struggle at this phase, because that struggles actually helps them, right? If they give up, then that's it, right? When you struggle on a question, it actually helps you consolidate a lot of knowledge, and it helps you in your memory. When you struggle and then you use a formula and finally you got it, the impression will be very, very, very strong with you, and then you will not forget. So then the next part, after the June holidays, you continue to climb and learn concepts. So you will see that the students, right, continue to fail and fail and fail. Most of the students, especially if their fundamentals in O-level is not strong and then still need to learn new things, they'll continue to fail and fail and fail until this point in time before the June holidays of the second year, right? They will have another breather again. So, or the the December holidays, most of the time, right, okay, December holidays of the first year, most of the students, right, they're still struggling with project work. A lot of students make the mistake of giving the full attention to project work because they have finished the exam. They think that they need to give full attention to the project work and get it done. And they stop their tuition, they stop their learning of all the topics. This is a big mistake to make. If they make this mistake, their second year is going to be very hard. So they should still budget a part of their time to project work, but they should not stop learning about the topics for all the subjects. They should regularly recall, because if they forgot what they learned in year one, year two will be hell, because they will need to learn year two subjects, the statistics, which is a new kind of mindset for problem solving. Is very different from pure maths, but at the same time they have to recall, because they will constantly be tested on year one topics, and then they will fail, and then they at the same time they will learn a new type of maths called statistics. That's quite different from pure maths, and some students will take some time to make the mindset to switch into the new mindset. So this part will be very terrible. Then a lot of students will also quit, because especially if they don't have any help like tuition teacher to motivate them and to also consistently guide them, so that if they feel that they have to struggle this themselves, a lot of them will just give up, unless they are very smart, unless their fundamentals in secondary school is very good. Because if you expect to learn something and then you realize that, oh, I need this, you won't within a topic, for example, within a topic of APGP or functions, the students tends to, when they want to learn, right, they tend to search for concepts within this topic. And then when they are working on a question, right, actually it requires a concept from secondary school, and then they didn't realize. So despite working hard and trying to search for all the examples and concepts, they can't find the answer to the question on function, because actually they forgot there's one piece of information or one piece of concept in O-level that will be applied in this functions question. And no matter how hard they feel, but if they have a tutor or someone very expert in maths, right, he can guide them and then tell them that, oh, you actually require a function, a question, a concept in secondary school, and can point them to that concept, and then he will be able to solve this question. Then you realize that, oh, it's not a concept or function that I don't know, but that I also need this prerequisite and or to apply some other type of other concepts in this chapter. Because JC is no longer like O-level, where this topic they teach you one topic by one topic, and then when it's a question on this topic, it's very clear that they are just using the concepts from this topic. The concepts can come from anywhere, even in a single question, they can pull concepts from 3 different topics. So without the very familiarity, if the student is trying to take the shortcut of trying to learn before the exam, or trying to do last minute work, right, he won't be able to do. He has to be the type of learner where he's so consistent, and everything is in his long-term memory, not short-term memory. Then he or she will be able to do well in maths. Then after that, right, during the June, okay, let's say that the student managed to persist to this stage and did not give up, right? During the June holidays, most of the topics for the JAC syllabus have been completed, leaving 1 or 2, right? So during the June holiday, they will be tested in most of the topics. And then right after the June common test, right, sometimes within a month or a month plus, right, they will do the prelim. And at the same time, they're still learning new topics. So you expect that they have to learn new topics, and at the same time only have a short time before they are tested by the prelim, and then they have to recall all the things in year 1 and year 2. At this point in time, a lot of people will still do very poorly in prelim, because they don't even, if they miss this stage miss out this opportunity to consolidate their knowledge, the December holidays, they miss out the June holidays and the 2 June holidays to consolidate their knowledge for the long term, or they're using short-term learning approach. They're not using the long-term memory or long-term learning approach. They're using a short-term learning approach. That means every time there's a test, they just prepare for this test. Every time there's this chapter, they just prepare for this chapter. No, they should prepare for all the chapters every time, regardless of whether there's a test or not. You should feel like there's a test every day, and try to do revision on all the topics all the time while learning new topics. And if not, if they didn't do that, if during the June holidays they relax, and then at the prelim, right, they will still fail. Most of the students that we do not have the right learning, and very few students actually have this right learning. About 25 to 30 percentile, 25 to 30% of students will have the really be very good at it. Most of the students, 70% of students, they will still struggle and pass moderately or fail during the prelim examinations. But I'm not talking about my students, I'm talking about all the students from JC, because they tell me their median results, their 75th percentile. I got this knowledge from all my students from every school, not just one or two schools, that most of the students will struggle and fail for their prelim. Then how come there's so many students who do get A or B during their A level? Very simple, because after the prelim, there is a revision to October. This part is like early. Some schools do their prelim very late, but most of students do their most of the schools do their prelim very early, like late July or August. So there will be about, at the very least, there's a 4 weeks revision period where there's nothing new is taught, and then they can consolidate and keep practicing. There is 2 months, for some students, there's 2 to 3 months where they can do this. Actually, the earlier they complete the prelim, the better. Although the earlier they bring the prelim, the more students will fail. But then it's good, because the prelim, right, will give them because as most of the students, when they go to school, the lectures and tutorials, right, they barely learn anything. Right? They learn something because they just, most of the time, they use it to copy the notes, copy the tutorial answers or solution. But then they are not really absorbing the concepts, right? They are not really absorbing and understanding, especially if they don't make effort to memorize concepts and formulas and practice and test themselves. If the learning is not active, it's not intense, it's more like passive, going through, expecting the teacher to push them or things like that. If they are very active and proactive, then, and intense in their study, then they could do well. But if they are quite passive, they go through the school, go through the motion, and every tutorial they expect just do the tutorial that the teacher give them, then they don't put their own effort to revise the earlier topics and things like that. Then the school time, right, is not very helpful for them. But then at this point in time, a lot of students wake up after their prelim, right? They may not get very good results, and then when it comes, they will know that now is A level, it's time to be serious. So the longer this period of time, right, where nothing new is taught, and then the students can go back and look at their notes. If they organize their notes, their tutorials, everything very well, they make it a consistent effort to organize their notes, everything very well, it will be easier for them to do revision and catch up. Some students, they totally lost, they gave up, and then or they are messy, or they didn't put in effort to struggle through. If they gave up, right, then this period of time they will feel helpless too, because they have all their notes all over the place. They have not learned much during the 1.5 years. Then these are the students that will fail very badly even in the A level. But most of the students will not have problem. Most of the students, they are quite consistent, and then they still manage. They didn't give up, and then they have their notes, everything in order. So during this phase, or they have tutor to help them. So during this phase, they are able to catch up. These 3 or 4 weeks, so they can consolidate all their knowledge. And at A level, they are going to do well. And also partly because of the moderation, right? Because the students are ranked against one another. It's not an absolute score, but they are ranked against one another. So if you're not too bad compared to your peers, you will not get a bad result. But if you're good compared to your peers, even if you don't do very well in terms of the absolute score, you still end up at the higher percentile, right? So most of the students still able to get A or B, especially if you're coming from a good JC, because there are some, I won't say which JCs, but there are really some JCs, right, where they take in students for maths for those students that without A maths, they put them to do H2 maths, and they also not very good at because the students they are actually not very good at maths from the start. They also didn't take A maths, but they are also put to do H2 maths. So these students they will end up filling the bottom of the bell curve. And yeah, but that's the part of apart from it. But it's not that even top JC students could fumble if they don't put in effort to struggle, but because of the peer pressure in top JCs, so most students will not face that problem. They will still struggle regardless. They will not let go, so they will not give up. So at this point in time, they get a chance to consolidate their knowledge, and their results will suddenly accelerate. As they do time trials, they'll see that every time trial, their scores are improving. Their A-level, when they do 10-year series, they do time trials, their scores are improving. So then there will not be any problem. So the right method to learning I want to explain is that to drill simple questions on concepts. That's the first phase of learning. Then to memorize and understand. Some students think that memorizing is not important. It's very important. And at the same time, it's very important to understand. Neither of these can be missing from your study, especially for A-level. It's not easy. And to apply to difficult questions and struggle for hours, this is important. Once you have know the concept and the memorize everything and understood, right? You need to test yourself very hard, because the questions are meant to test yourself, test your fundamentals. You need to do a few questions and be able to do it without referring to textbook, and and not solutions. So some students, they will refer to solutions, and then they read the solution, and then they think they understand how to do the question. It's very different from being able to do the question on your own, because I can show the student I can show the student the solution. Let's say if, for example, I take a question and I show the student the solution, right? He may think that he understood, or I explain he may think that he understood. Then I come back to right away, I come back to the question itself, and then ask them to do. They will not be able to do, even if they say that they understood the question, they understand to every step. When they ask to, because they need both. They need to be able to look at the question. After they understood, they need to come back to the question and struggle at the question, right? Then they will really understand. Understanding by reading is not understanding. Understanding, if you're able to do it, then it's really understanding. The students must understand that. If they practice wrongly by reading solutions and thinking that they understood, they will have a big problem during the examination, right? So the next thing is they need to do regular revision on earlier topics. If not, they will forget. And if they take a long time, let's say, for example, if they take until this end of the year to revise something from the beginning of the year, it will be much harder than if they do regular revision. So while they are learning new things, every 3 months they should come back to the topic, right, until they are satisfied that they will not forget it for the whole life. Then they will be really good at it. So then after that, at the end of the year, this point about when they are about to complete the syllabus, they should keep doing prelim papers. Not yet finished all the topics, but even before they finish all the topics, slightly just one or two topics left, they should keep doing prelim papers, because they have learned most of the topics in the prelim. And prelim is supposed to be very challenging questions, so they should struggle at those questions. So yeah, this is what I meant by the final acceleration and consideration phase. This phase where after their prelim or after their June common test of the second year, that point in time is that because they are not learning new things, so that they have time to revise and consolidate. This is the time where they will see huge improvement results. And the next part about the strategies, right? Strategies of learning. They should prepare for A-levels and not the school test. What I mean, so if you should, let's say if you learn a topic, you should try to be good at the topic, and then as you learn new topics, you try to be good at every topic, and then do regular revision. So when wherever the school want to test, so some schools, they will, in this period, they will select a few topics to test. Ignore that. Don't just revise for that few topics. A lot of students will get distracted by the school because the school selected that few topics, right? So they just learn that few topics. This actually disrupt their studies. It makes them very short-term and myopic, focus on just a few topics. And as they focus on just that few topics, they forgot that there are still so many topics taught. Why they just focus on a few topics? Some teachers even make it worse by giving hints to the students on what to study, because that's not helpful. If you give hints to students on what to study, they don't study everything. When they don't study everything at A level, they are still going to be tested on everything. It's not that they are just going to be tested on these few things. So don't give the student any hint of what to study. Some tutors also make it worse by helping the student pick questions. That's not the right way to learn. They have to learn every single thing and keep revising every single topic, right, along the way. And if tests come, just take it that I won't prepare. If the test come, I wouldn't prepare for the test at all, because every day I'm testing myself. Every day I'm doing revision. What is so special about the test? Because I'm preparing myself every day. I'm ready every time. Because I'm ready every time, you can test me anytime, and I'm not worried. So it's not that only when the school tests you and the school tests you on a certain topic, then you prepare. But too many students make these mistakes, especially in the students who are not performing well, because they think that the only way for them to do well in the test is to pick questions. So that sometimes they happen to pick the question and then they get a good result. And then they think that can be the strategy. That is a very risky strategy, because at A level or in prelims, almost all topics are tested, and a lot of topics are tested. It's not possible to pick. And if you don't have a strong fundamentals on the topic, this method, even if it work in O level, if you're lucky, it will not work in A level. So this is, do not pick topics, right? That's why, and do not prepare for school tests. Prepare for A levels. That means you study everything, not the topics that are tested, but everything. So make sure concepts and formulas in every topic is understood and memorized and regularly revised. Ignore test results, right? When test results come back, as I mentioned, because you cannot be short-term, because it depends on what is your starting point, right? If your starting point is because we already have 4 years in secondary school, some students, they study right they study with the right method from the first year, right? From the first year of secondary school or second year of secondary, or even third or fourth year, they wake up. So they are running ahead, right? If you are not the ones running ahead, every test will be demoralized, right? But then you shouldn't be demoralized. You should just be encouraged to work harder. You will not end up last in the race, because you have 2 years, and the things in A level is much harder than the things at secondary school. It's not testing about basic knowledge anymore. It's about applying. It's about applying to very complex questions. So let's say if you're struggling very hard, continue to struggle. What I'm saying is to and ignore the test results. You are going to fail badly every time. And as I mentioned, because of how testing the situation is, even if you don't are not the type that learns super fast, most of the students are going to face a hard time and keep failing. So ignore the test result and do correction. Every time the test come back, just do correction for every mistake and make sure you will make the same mistake again. And if you make a mistake in a topic, go to the topic and do every single question in that topic to make sure that you won't make any mistake with those questions. Then a lot of students will tell me, where got so much time? Just if you can't, because some have really bad fundamentals, so they'll take a long time to do the questions. But that is the price that you need to pay for not doing consistently or not learning by the right method in secondary school, or letting go of those periods of time in June holidays, December holidays. If you didn't treasure those times, this is the price that you have to pay to struggle in the midst of high stress, which is highly not recommended. but you still have to struggle, because if you don't struggle, then the next time you still face even a more stringent stress. So if this is what you experience, you will find that you're working very hard, but your result doesn't seem to be improving. It's because you're paying a price, right, for maybe the things that you didn't learn well in the past, right? So what I see is that as well, some students, right, they have been practicing a lot of hours, but they have not been practicing right, in the sense that they're relying on formula sheets. They are relying on solutions to answers when they study. So if they rely on solutions to answer the questions when they study, they just read and think that they understand. They didn't cover it and try to work it out themselves. This is the first serious mistake in learning. The second serious mistake in learning is that they don't memorize formulas. Then the third mistake in learning is that after they do a question wrongly, they don't do correction. So these are the mistakes in learning. And sometimes there's a fourth mistake in learning, that the students try to memorize question types. The A level, they will not repeat a question type. They will always try to disguise the concept. They will try to disguise it such that you need a bit of IQ, you need a bit of struggle to see it. And if you have been struggling a lot of time, let's say those people who like Cai Teng or guess the Lantern quiz, right? Lantern Festival, they give all these quiz or that you guess, right? You only get better and better at guessing over time if you keep guessing, but you will not be able to. You will not be the questions will not repeat, so you cannot memorize the answers to those questions. You will not work out that way. So you have to you take every test as a test of your IQ and becoming slightly more and more flexible over time. So only struggle can help you become more intelligent. Only struggling with the questions will help your mind learn to think in more angles and directions. So ignore that. So the thing is, ignore test results because you don't want to demoralize ourselves, but just be consistent in learning. Make sure in the end you can do question without looking at anything. That's very important. And reading, that this is 4 point, which I already mentioned. Reading and understanding a solution is different from working out the solution on your own. That's very important. Also, so I've explained what is it like to study in A level, right? It's definitely not easy, and most of the students are having a hard time. So I can give a lot of examples of my past students who their parents will come to me and say, well, why is it my students are not improving? Or even right up to the prelim that they fail in their exams, and then they ask me, oh, why is it that they seems like okay, but then they're not. Every time the test results come back, will be so bored. But there's so many examples of these students, right? Most of these students, when their parents tell me that, oh, they may not be able to make it at A level, or they are not confident with themselves and they think that they will fail in A level, right? They'll get at least a B and an A. So don't worry about that. So I can easily show you my testimonials, right? If you are okay, so let's go to testimonials from the students. I have too many of such examples, right? This parent before the student failed the prelim, and then during one of the lesson, the parent come to sit down with me, right? Sit down in front of me and ask me what is the problem, like why is he not improving and things like that. This student got an A in the end, right? And I can show you other students as well. That means too many of such students. This student did not think that he will get an A. He think that he hates maths, and he think that he will fail maths, but he got an A. Then I'm going to show you other questions as well, other students. So a lot of students will not think that they can do it, even because based on their school results, right? They will not think that they can do it, but then you see, they didn't think that they'll do it, but you see, they just get A. And I can show you another student who I teach in 2018. the parent is my friend. Even he was asking me, no, not this one, right? But this student also did not think that she will get A. Okay, right. This student think that she did a lot of careless mistake during the exam, and that she think that she did a lot of careless mistakes in the exam, and then she will fail. Right? She will not do well. Then, but in the end, she get an A. I just show you too many of such examples. Then there are some more, like Dojo. I'm not saying that you will get all students will get A despite whatever, but most of the students will get A. So this the parent of this student also, right, before the exams, right, he's very worried. He messaged me a lot of times to say why is that they are not get. But then the student get a B also. This student, they didn't think that they will do well, right? So I can show you a lot of students. This student also have, right, he got A for maths, but he also didn't think that he will get A. You can see from his other testimony. So but I can show you more of the testimonials. Yeah, wait, it's a bit confusing. Let's say, sorry for having to switch back and forth. Right, there are more of this. When he messaged me, you see, he is regaining his confidence in mathematics. And most of our students, when they go take lessons with me, one of the things is that they regain confidence in mathematics, because it takes that a lot of time for them to do it, and then they can't do it, and then they think that they are failing. So what I'm showing you all of this to show that what I told you just now was out of my real experience with students, and I'm quite confident that that if I'm sending you this video, right, it means that most probably is the same type of case, right? That your case is the same type of case with my other students. You don't have to worry that much. So this video is meant to explain the case for such students. Okay, so then that's it. I shall end here. And if you still have any doubts, or feel free to have a Zoom call with me or message me. Okay, thank you.